It's time for the Ella Johnson Show. Thanks for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show, where there are two sides to every story. Enjoy the broadcast. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. Listen, I am super excited. I was just with you guys probably 15, 20 minutes ago. I always go live before the live, but listen, this is the Ella Johnson Show, Monroe County Uncovered. Welcome. If you're watching from YouTube, do me a favor and subscribe since you're already there, right? Go ahead and just subscribe to the Ella Johnson Show. That way you won't miss anything. You'll always know when we have a show, what time, everything. So please subscribe. If you're watching from Facebook and you're watching on the Ella Johnson page, welcome. But please do me a favor and share the broadcast tonight, okay? Let's share the broadcast. And I want you guys to go over and like my page, Monroe County Uncovered, as well, okay? So I want you guys to do all of that. And I am so excited. My guest is popped it. Listen, we are having some technical difficulties tonight, but she's here. Hello, Stephanie. How are you?
Hello. All right. Can you hear me? Can you see me clear?
Yes, I can see you. I can hear you. So we're here. So I just want you, before we dive in, we have a lot to cover tonight. First of all, Stephanie, on my live before the live, I mentioned that you're the one who actually presented the video to me about Jerry Nettles first. And so I felt like it was just reasonable that you be here with me tonight to unpack this video. So welcome to the Ella Johnson Show again.
I'm sorry, Ella. It kind of cut out on me again. I'm going to see if I can switch a few sources here. All right. I mean, am I coming through clear now?
Yes, you are. I can hear you. I see you. So welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, my dear. I'm so glad that you're here tonight with us. Looks like she's having some technical difficulties, guys. But we are definitely. Are you there now?
Yes, I think I switched to my the hotspot on my phone, so I think that's going to be a little bit better.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I want you to tell everybody who you are and what it is that you do and why you decided to come on the show tonight with me to unpack all of this.
All right, so my name is Stephanie Simpson. I was born in Monroe, Alabama. So this show means a lot to me because I still have family there, not only Monroe, but this situation can be extrapolated to so many situations across the board. So my current main profession is financial services. I own a CPA firm with my husband that we do audit, accounting, and attestation services, as well as wealth management and things of that nature. However, my heart lies in social justice reform because it's needed. Mm-hmm. It needs to be acknowledged, and I want our people to prosper. And in order to do that, I recognize that we have to have a safe avenue to express how we feel, as well as to hold people in power accountable for things that are done.
Amen. That was very well said. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're a part of this because we have a lot of more shows to do. Once SBI comes with this report, ASBI comes with this report, and we're able to break it down even further. But until then, we wait, and we're just going to keep bringing more issues to you. So listen, guys, thank you all so much. Tonight, we're discussing two cases that have raised serious questions in Monroe County. In one case, the police has seen a video that appears to show Jerry Nettles Jr. being taken to the ground while handcuffed. Y'all saw the video. I'm not making it up. In another, the community is still waiting for answers in the death of T. Tunstall. Now, our
Absolutely.
goal isn't to determine legal guilt, right, Stephanie? That's for the courts. That's not what we're doing. And the investigators, that's their job. Our goal is to ask whether the public is receiving the transparency and the accountability it deserves. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's what we're here to do tonight. So I want us to do this. The first thing I want to do, Stephanie, is let's show the video, because those of you that are watching, some of you may have seen the video, some of you may not, but I want to show it here. Now there's not really any audio with it, so we're gonna watch it, and then how about we at that point see,
Before
we'll
you
talk
show it, do
about it.
you want to give a little context behind what's going on?
Yeah, you can do that actually.
Okay. From my understanding, so that everyone knows that we have not spoken to Jerry Nettles directly about this case. This is something that was sent to us in regards to how the conduct of the deputy sheriff's office or the county sheriff's office in Monroeville, as well as the Monroeville Police Department, how they behave behind the scenes. So, from my understanding, this incident came from Jerry being pulled over by a police officer who tried to basically say that he was intoxicated and he was arrested. Prior, right before, and this was, and we're sharing this because this was publicly on his page, publicly. But my understanding again, this incident happened. Police said that he was trying to pull down a computer monitor towards a police officer. That is not captured in this video. But while he was doing the intake process, this is what happened. And then you will see what happened once Ella, you play the video.
All right, here we go.
Mm.
And to make it easier for you guys to see it, I purposely slowed it down. Mm-hmm.
Ella, can you show this actually at the original speed of the video?
There you go.
Okay, and then let's start it over.
Okay. All right, guys, we're going to show it over at the original speed.
Okay, let's maybe analyze it frame by frame. Pause it right there for a second, Ella.
Oops. Okay.
Okay, so as we're seeing, this is the Monroe County Sheriff's Department, the county jail. He seems to be coming into the intake room. He is handcuffed, and you have two cops there that's kind of basically manhandling him. And so I just wanted to first give the audience the aspect and make sure that they actually key into the fact that he is right now handcuffed with his hands behind his back.
I
Okay.
think that is very important to notate. I think it's good to go frame by frame so we can
Mm-hmm.
pick it apart. He's brought into the booking room. This is the booking room
The booking.
where he's
Okay.
brought.
Yes.
Now, I want you guys to know that he's gone into other rooms. That when they go to the jail, they have to go through the Sally Port, then the breathalyzer room, and then booking. So we got different places. And from what I'm told, that he was roughed up like this in those other rooms as well, allegedly. Okay. So this is where we are. We see that they brought him in and he's handcuffed. All right. We ready for the next part? Let's go.
Yes. Let's go.
Okay. I think that's another one. Did you guys see that? They basically picked him up. Now, what could possibly be going on right now, Stephanie, that they're still, he's in handcuffs. So whenever someone's in handcuffs, that means they're no threat. What can he do?
Absolutely.
Right? And then I want to
Handcuffed,
bring,
no access to any type of weapons. He doesn't seem
yes,
to be angry. He's not charging at the officers. He's not lashing out at this point. So,
if
yeah,
anything, he may be mouthing, he may be talking to them and saying things that may be pissing them off, but that's no reason for him to be treated this way. But I want to make mention, you guys see this person right here? They're just standing there. What are they doing, Stephanie? What do you see? This
they're just
person that I'm seeing.
observing. This officer here is not trying to intercede on the on Jerry's behalf. He's not trying to stop the officers. He's, in my opinion, he's looking on like this is normal behavior. He doesn't
Okay.
see anything wrong with how they're treating the prisoner at this
And
point.
from this angle, it doesn't look like he's trying to stop it. Would that be safe to say?
Exactly.
Okay. All right, let's
Exactly.
go.
It doesn't.
Now, can we identify these guys? The officer with the hat on, that's Mr. Lassiter, right? The guy with the cap on is Lassiter. The other guy is Kendall Gardner. And the man that was in the room, his last name is Jones or something to that effect. Okay. But did you guys see the move that Lassiter made? It looked like he was angry when he just rushed up. I would love to know what made him angry that he had to come in at force. Let's keep going. Okay, now was that the part where the monitor fell, Stephanie? Did we see that? Did you see that part?
Honestly, I really can't see a monitor being pulled right here from my view.
Okay.
I mean, I do see like some officers are kind of next to a monitor.
Yeah,
What I
let's
will
go back
say
and
that
watch
it
this
does not.
again. I'm
Okay,
gonna
let's go.
play it here. I want y'all to see this. Now you see Jerry is away from that desk. You see that monitor came down? He was
Okay.
nowhere near it. You saw that? Okay, let's
Yes.
keep going. He's in handcuffs.
Exactly.
They're putting the monitor back up there, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. I see that now. You're right.
Okay. All right. So
Oh my goodness, that's tough to watch.
why is that so
It,
tough
it,
to watch? What does that do to you
it's
when you
tough
watch
to
that stuff?
watch because regardless of what he's doing in this video clip here, it does not constitute the behavior that was exhibited by the police officers. Um, Hypothetically, even if he was mouthing off, you would think that a police officer, and I understand they don't have degrees to that nature, but you would think they still would have been trained to a certain extent that they are able to control their emotions, their psychological response. And this is definitely not a way to handle someone, especially that's in handcuffs. This is a defenseless man right at this point. And the way that he was slammed could have caused, thankfully, it didn't, but it could have caused serious bodily injury. Seriously. And that's what, when I first saw this video, it made my heart jump because, I mean, even the way that it kind of put him against the wall, the way in which he was picked up and kind of slammed, like it could have caused even injuries to his neck, to his spinal cord.
See, what I
And
don't
thankfully, it
understand,
didn't, but it could have.
yeah, what I don't understand is the mindset of these officers. Like, what are they thinking? Are they thinking that this is how you're supposed to treat people? Are they thinking that I can do it because I know I'm not going to get away with it? You have cameras in this room, for crying out loud. Do they have no they have no disregard whatsoever for what who may be watching, who may see this?
Absolutely.
And let me tell you guys, it was somebody from the inside that made this video happen. So what does that say to you? If I tell you that it was someone from the inside who's no longer there that made this video possible, what would that say to you, Stephanie, about what they may have felt?
Um, let me say this right now because I'm actually kind of looking at the comments as we're talking,
Okay.
and on my end too, it did kind of show a little blurred. So if we can actually share that link into the comments for anybody who wants to maybe go and watch it very quickly, and it shows a little bit clearer, so
Yeah.
they can kind of get a full understanding of what's going on, so that they can see exactly how he was handled by the cops. It did kind of show up. The video is not crystal clear even on his page, but I think it's a little clearer than what we showed here. So that
Yeah.
way people can really understand what's going on
Yeah.
there. And then back
Okay.
to what you were saying is, it's frightening because, these officers, like you said, was well aware that there's video recordings inside of the county jail. And it makes you think, if they were well aware of the videos and still chose to act this way, what do they do when there aren't videos, when there's not a camera watching them? Now
That's
with
what
T's case, it just so happened that we
yeah.
did have someone out there filming, but it shows that same level of them being comfortable to do certain actions without the fear of reprisal in regards to their job.
Yeah.
And that's the key there, because it makes you think about what is condoned and what is acceptable behavior within our Monroe County Sheriff's Office, as well as our our Monroe Police Department.
Now let's
With this video, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's go back because I want to the purpose of this is to show you guys that it looks like we got a little pattern going on in Monroe. Y'all saw T. We're not going to show his video, but I want to one parallel I want to make is that when T's video went viral and then Mandy made a statement, they were different, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were very different. Same thing here. Now we didn't see a statement from Sheriff Boatwright. Did you see a statement from Boatwright ever on this?
No, not in regards to this. No,
I wonder
absolutely
why.
not.
Are you guys wondering why this is something that we didn't know about until the person that's involved had to bring it forward? Now, this is what disturbs me because it looks like the police allegedly have an issue with being truthful when they write up reports. Now, this is something
Very
that
true.
he had on his page here. This is what I want us to look at this. I want to make this big so we can actually see it a little bit better there. But this is what the officers wrote up in their report. I'm gonna have to pull it on my other thing here so I can read it. Can you see that, Stephanie, to
Yeah, I
read
can
it?
see that. Yeah, that's
Okay, go
that's
ahead and
clear.
read that for us. Because I want you
Um,
guys to think about the video, and now she's gonna read what we have here.
Okay, so here on the incident report, it states during the instruction portion of walk and turn test, he could not follow instructions of the test. During the walking portion of the test, he could not be, he could not, he missed 3 heel to toe steps and also took more than 9 steps walking down. Some of that needs to be corrected grammatically, but we'll continue. During the one leg stand of the test, he could not maintain balance during the instruction portion. During the standing portion, he did not have his foot 6 inches off the ground. He also put his foot down 3 times and could not hold the position for 30 seconds. Upon end of testing, it was determined through my training and experience. We're gonna come back to his training and
Say
experience, okay?
yes, yes.
That Mr. Nettles Jr. was intoxicated and placed him in handcuffs, searched him, and placed him in my patrol car. Mr. Nettles Jr. was transported to the jail without incident. Oh, they love to
That
use that
word
phrase.
again. There it is.
They love to use that phrase. Once at the jail, Mr. Nettles Jr. became irate and refused to take the breathalyzer test. Once he refused to test, he was assisted to the booking room where he became combative. Now, this is the booking room. We didn't see any combativeness out of here, but let's continue. To which Deputy Lassiter and I assisted him into the chair. Wow. I'm sorry, I had to, because I don't know. I guess I missed this, Ella.
Yeah.
He assisted him into the chair. Okay, let me finish. Wow. Oh, while assisting Mr. Nettles Jr. into the chair, he pulled the computer tower down. And when Deputy Lassiter tried to pick up the tower, when Mr. Nettles Jr. pulled the computer monitor onto Deputy Lassiter's head, Mr. Nettles Jr. was then placed in 0108.
That's probably a holding cell.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
wow, there's so much to unpack. Wow.
You see why everybody says, Ella, look at the report?
I cannot believe he actually referred in his statement in the note on that report saying that they assisted him. So is that what they define as assistance?
I don't even see a chair. Okay.
Now there is a chair in that corner. I did see a chair. However, it's for him to still refer to him being like that's him assisting him. That is ridiculous.
No, let's talk about how he said that he pulled the computer down. He did not. He said, how can he do it? How can he pull a computer down with his hand behind his back? Make it make sense. It's almost like I'm getting pissed off all over again watching this because it's just too ridiculous. It's just too ridiculous, guys. I mean, come on. And they are able to use this report. Now, I want y'all to know this. I don't have the proof tonight. So this is going to be alleged what I'm about to say. From my understanding and my sources, that there is a form that had to be filled out that goes to the state when you have to fill out an affidavit for a warrant. There was also a lie on that. Please let me get my hands on it. Because if you lied on a form to get a warrant, you also broke the law when you did that. Do we agree? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I would imagine even on this form here, on the statement that he read up here, because this has to be an accurate statement. You know, this is still an official form. So we know that what he said on that form in comparison to the video is absolutely inaccurate. I mean, not even inaccurate. Let's call it what it is. It's a lie. He blatantly lied. From the assisting him into a chair to him pulling down the computer monitor. That's ridiculous. And this right here is significant in a few ways to me. One, because it's here they are attacking another young male who's defenseless. So we see the behavior, at least of some of their police officers, because it was three officers in that room. You know, two, because this has been shared a plethora of times. I'm going to say at this point, at least the chief and the sheriff, and probably some council people are aware of it. And like you said, no statement came out about this incident. This video was posted in February of this year. I think this incident happened in October of 2025. But by them not saying anything about this, it's you're condoning the behavior. You're definitely not sending the message as a leader saying that this behavior is unacceptable.
And so this is what I like to say too, is that we're being fair in our assessment, because when we were watching T. Tunstall's video and we talked about the Monroeville Police Department, and we talked about Mandy, and we talked about the chief, I mean, the mayor, and how all of these people should know better what is going on with their training, that same thing goes here. What happened to the training? Now, what I do know about these two officers, from what I learned, they were rookies and they had only been there just under 2 years, and that one of them is no longer there. The guy without the hat, that he works in Clark County now. Is it Clark County?
Mm.
Yeah. He works in Clark County. He left. But Mr. Lassiter, the one with the hat, this is what I have a big issue with. Yes, let's be fair and say the truth. They were suspended 2 days, I think it was, right? But why
I
were they
think,
suspended?
yeah.
Why were they? What? How do you guys
But yeah,
know?
if I recall, the suspension wasn't about the actions in this video, in, as far as his treatment of Jerry, but the fact that they didn't have body cams on.
I have a
But at
problem
this
with
point, they don't
it.
even need body cams because you have another camera that still show what they did. You know, you
Why
know,
would you say what? Why would they write it up that way, Stephanie? Why would, and I'm not saying who wrote it, but why would it be written up in a way to say that they're being suspended, not because of how they treated this young man, but because they didn't have body cams, because they don't want to be able to say they mistreated this young man. They don't
yeah,
want that in the record.
because putting it on paper, in regards to why they would be disciplined, is almost an admission of guilt by the higher ups. So when something like this happens, I think they try to avoid any trail of paperwork, something that could be tied back to them. So by the fact that oh, you didn't wear your body cam, they can apply that to anything, you know. But at the same time, the fact that they were suspended, again, people was aware of what
So,
happened in this incident,
so
and
they
they
were.
were. Yeah, I know one person, like you said, left and went to Clark County, but the other two officers are still there, correct? And one was promoted to a K9 handler.
Okay, he says the city police department needs to be taken over by the sheriff office until it's cleaned up.
Yeah, but this right here, this was actually within the county jail. So these are sheriff deputies. And that's part of the issue, and this is how it correlates too, because at this point in Monroeville, who can be trusted? I'm not trying to say anyone is let's see, guilty to a certain fault, but at the same time they are,
For
because if
me,
this is the
the
sheriff's
video,
office,
yeah,
has been condoned, and so we can't
yeah.
trust the sheriff's department any more than we can trust the Monroe County Police Department at this point.
Now, James, I
Unfortunately,
appreciate,
very
I appreciate,
unfortunate.
I appreciate that comment, but I'm not sure if he's aware that this video that we just showed happened at the city jail, which is under the direction of the sheriff.
Exactly.
Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah.
So, as far as I'm concerned, they all need some kind of reform when it comes to how they police and how they treat their citizens. Now, the
Absolutely.
fact that you guys didn't hear about this and it didn't make news like Tease did doesn't mean these kinds of things don't happen. And thank God for the person that helped him out with this video. We would have never known that these are the kind of things that's going on at the sheriff's office as well. So it's not a peeing contest here to see who does it better and who does. You all need some kind of reform because these are citizens that live in Monroe County, Monroeville, the city's limits, whether they be in the county or the city limits. They're being treated this way, and you should know about it. So now we get, because Stephanie, to be honest with you, people try to make this into a political issue
Hmm.
because the sheriff is running for election. What do you feel
Hmm.
about that?
I will say right now, I mean, even though and I will say this, um, the although these police officers here were rookies and within their first year or two of hiring, I do feel like it's time to actually hold people accountable on the people that they hire or they continue to employ after they've committed certain things. Like if they have allegations against them, complaints, like I feel like whether you're the sheriff, the chief, whoever, if you chose to approve their hire knowing that they had a background of X, Y, and Z, you should also be held accountable. The thing about like right now, the county sheriff from Monroe County, I feel like he feels a little safe because he's running unopposed. So
Okay.
yes, I'm sure he may have other aspirations outside of being Monroe County Sheriff's Department, but and he wants to kind of keep that maybe record clean, and that may be why they chose to write Jerry's report up as such. However, right now I feel like he's in a very comfortable position because he is running unopposed.
And he may
Um,
have been placed in in that comfortable position, because now it's not going to be the what do I call it? It's not going to be my quest to make sure that the sheriff is held in a good light for an election because I am not making this a political issue. This is a
yeah, I
man
mean, I don't
who
know
is,
him personally. I am definitely on the outside
yeah,
looking in on
absolutely. We
this,
both are. Yeah.
but all of it is optics, and that's part of. I mean, it's a political aspect to that, as well as just a decent humanity aspect of that, and that's the whole thing about T. At the end of the day, at that point when I first saw it, even if they felt they didn't do anything wrong, it was the fact that you did this that was wrong in itself. The optics of it, to for you to think that you were able to drag a man in broad daylight without being haste in your actions. You were very comfortable. You walked slow and thought that was okay. Um,
Yeah.
on the first show that I came on here with you, I was, I kind of gave a little leniency towards the police department as well as the sheriff's office, but Jerry's video definitely changed that aspect.
How so?
It changed that aspect because now we have proof, undeniable proof, on how the officers will go, commit, I mean, involve excessive force. And it's almost out of spite, you know. No, they shouldn't at any time, have that type of aggression towards a prisoner. But I mean, especially if a prisoner, from what we've seen, is somebody who's coming into AIDS intake, seems they're cooperative to a certain extent. Like he's not trying to fight in that video. He's not struggling. He's not, like even if he's mouthing out, he's not really still resisting to that aspect. And you still chose to handle him
Yeah.
like that. That's scary.
Now, I will say, allegedly, Stephanie, and I
Hmm.
don't want to go too far in the woods on this one because this is part of the what I've heard about this case is that this was one that was pushed under the rug because of what we're looking at. Now, is T still being held to these charges or were they dropped?
I am not sure about that.
Yeah.
I think they may have been dropped. I will say, when I first came across this video, and I saw this video after T, unfortunately, that incident happened. but it was shared and viewed so many times. To me, there's no way that they were not aware of this video. You know,
Right.
that there's no way they wasn't aware of it, and so it makes it scary because, like you said earlier, that they didn't, put out any type of statement on it. And because the fact that they didn't, they tried to cover it, push it under the rug. And again, that shows that you're condoning this behavior. And even if the officers were, suspended with because they wasn't wearing their body cam, that's a cop out.
Yeah, that's a cop out. Not
And
only is that a cop out, it doesn't hold them accountable because they in their minds they don't
absolutely,
feel
it
okay
does
getting
not.
it.
It does
Yeah,
not. And so at this point, it's just like, who do we hold accountable? It has to be kind of the higher ups to hold accountable. I believe when
right.
they become fearful, if they could be criminally prosecuted, not only if they're running for reelection, but the fact that, if you take part and you know about something, because even one of these officers right here, hypothetically, with Jerry, and the next incident that they had, kind of similar to the officer that happened with the Sonoma in Mississippi with the baby.
Yeah.
If your officer has multiple complaints against them and you did nothing about it and you were aware of this and you chose to allow him back onto the streets, you chose to allow him to carry a gun and to fire at his discretion and use excessive force at his discretion, even though you knew for a fact that his discretion was faulted. His discretion
Yeah.
is not clear. You can't really depend on what he considers what's right and wrong. So, yeah, the higher up should be held accountable.
Absolutely. Now, I want you guys to think about something. Just throwing it out there. Why is it that let's just pretend these charges were dropped against him?
Hmm.
Why do you think that happened, and how do you think that happened? Let's pretend they are dropped against him and they've moved on and they're not holding him responsible to this anymore.
I think that's still part of the cover up almost. We're willing to drop those charges so that he can leave the situation alone. If he doesn't have to follow up, if he doesn't have to come to court. I will say that I greatly admire Jerry for putting this video out there because Monroe was really small. In the same way that the cop in the T situation, by Mandy's statement, said that he was riding alone and he recognized T. I'm pretty sure that a cop could be riding alone and recognize Jerry and still harass him to a certain extent.
So, so what I understand is that what the issue is with Jerry in this case was that he made a comment about that the officer was speeding. Like you guys stopped me because
Hmm.
I'm breaking the law,
Hmm.
but your guy did too. And they were kind of pissed about that. Who are you to
Hmm.
talk to us about what our guys are doing? And that's kind of where some of their little anger, because remember in the T Tunstall video we had Selena on the show and she was our eyewitness to the mood of those officers on the scene.
Hmm.
They were kind of
Hmm.
teed with him, and it looks like we did the same thing over here. So when they get teed, you don't say something they like, or if you mouth off or whatever, they feel like that's a green light to now rough you up a little bit for
Exactly.
someone in handcuffs.
Hmm.
It's unacceptable. Not only is it
Absolutely.
unacceptable what they did, but it's unacceptable how it was handled. Okay. And
Absolutely.
I'm calling out Sheriff Boatwright on this because this is your precinct. Now, here's the thing. We want to make this. Somebody said, Ella, maybe he didn't know. He knew. He knew what the officers did. He knew what happened that night. Matter of fact, from my understanding, the family reached out to him as well. So
Yeah, like I said, the number of times that it was shared and viewed on Facebook, there's no way he did not know.
yeah, he knew.
That's just, it's asinine to even think, and for him to even want to take a stance of, oh, I didn't know. No, you knew.
Now, here's the thing. Let's pretend
He
we're
knew. He
voters.
knew.
Stephanie, let's pretend you and I are voters in Monroe. We are actually registered to vote in Monroe, and it's time for the election. I said I wasn't going to make this political, but I do want the people that are watching this that still don't understand why I'm talking about this. I want you to see when someone is going through an election, they're making you promises, right, Stephanie?
Hmm.
Here's one of the promises that was probably made that Boatwright can make true. If he said, I'm going to stand up for the citizens of Monroe County, then you got an opportunity to do it.
Absolutely.
You guys have a great opportunity now to know who to vote for, because now you get to see he is the current sheriff and he has the opportunity to prove to you what his integrity is. This is it on display.
Absolutely.
So I don't like this video. I think that, what do you think should happen in this case from Boat Right? What do you think he should do?
At this point in time, I do feel like at the very least, he should make a statement about it. I do feel like at the very least, even if the SBI or Aaliyah is still, investigating these all, you know, incident, there should be an update. Whether it comes from in the same way that he put out a statement when it first happened. He put out a statement, and I believe he did before Mandy. I mean, I
He
know
did.
they were kind of
He
like
did.
very close to one another,
Yeah.
but at least I'll say I saw his before I saw Mandy's. But yeah, he should do. He has to acknowledge, and at this point, I would really like to see him to acknowledge that what, I made a mistake. The way in which I handled this was not correct. If you want to redeem yourself, you know, like
And
I
prove
hear you,
why people should
community.
vote for you. This is a
Yeah,
chance to do it. Yeah.
but like I said, like the fact that he's running unopposed, even if like people are people who are registered to vote and doesn't vote for him because he's unopposed, he can get 10 votes and he'll still be elected. He's unopposed right now. Because he's unopposed, he's just going through the motions. He's doing campaigns. I've seen some of his um posts and some of his like campaign posters in people's yard and things like that. But again, he knows that he's running unopposed. Like, so that's a given. Like he's going to be there.
Well, I hope he's
He's
not
going
taking advantage of that, Stephanie, to say, I don't care what, y'all can't do anything. I'm the nominee now. So whatever. I hope
yeah.
he's not doing that. I hope he's not doing
Well,
that.
I
I hope
mean,
he,
I think partially he is. You know, before Jerry's video, I would say maybe he's doing it because maybe he still has some type of, clear heart or clear mind. Maybe he does oppose excessive force. But right here, it's blatantly, obvious that you don't.
so we Google this,
Okay,
guys,
yeah,
because we
here we
want to
go.
know. We Google this because we want to know, when is force considered excessive? We don't want to throw that word around and make it seem like we're making up words here, right, Stephanie? So we want to
Okay.
find out, what does the law basically say about excessive, when force is considered excessive. If a suspect is already fully under control. Was he under control? Handcuffed
Yes. I mean, yeah.
and
Is that?
and
Yeah.
non-resistant, applying additional gratuitous force, like throwing them to the ground, like we
Mm-hmm.
saw in the video, uh,
Mm-hmm.
may be considered a
Absolutely.
violation of their civil rights. Oh, there we go. You mean we got police and sheriff and deputies out here violating civil rights? Mm.
Yep.
Continued use of force after a suspect is clearly subdued is a primary factor in many excessive force lawsuits. Now, they also give you the flip side. We want to bring that to you as well. When force may be permitted. Oh, you mean to tell me it's okay in some instances? Yeah, so let's find out what those are. Police may use force against a handcuffed individual if a person is actively resisting, trying to kick or bite, attempting to escape, or slamming their head against a wall or vehicle. In such cases, taking the person to the ground may be a necessary tactic to prevent injury to the suspect or the officer. Did we see any of that, Stephanie?
No, we did not.
So then I would
Mm,
suggest here that his civil rights were violated, Sheriff
absolutely.
Boatwright. And my question to
Absolutely,
you
they were.
is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? I want to know that.
Absolutely, they were.
I'm
And
asking
I
you.
will say too, from
Yeah.
what the when Jerry initially posted that video, his comments on the situation, I don't know if they have records of a breathalyzer. Now, because you did show a write up or report in which they kind of summed up what happened there, but I have not seen like a report from the officers. Because I'm going to imagine, that's a good point too. So I'm going to imagine that he was actually stopped by a Monroe police officer and then transported to the county jail, which he's switched. The custody of him has switched, but they didn't reveal any quote unquote breathalyzer results there. I mean, I guess they did say that he, refused a breathalyzer test, but according to him, he was having, I think, issues with his ACL, and that's why he was off balance. And why he
Ah,
couldn't hold a certain stance for a certain period of time. And so I think by them releasing that statement, they expected the public to just believe what they said
mm,
versus what the guy said that actually was the victim in this case, you know? And so at this point, seeing that video, I lean towards what the victim said,
absolutely.
what Jerry
1000.
said, because um by their report also with them saying that, oh, we assisted him to a chair. Oh, that's what your assistance looks like?
Exactly.
That's what you call assistance? Okay.
And if
That's
we didn't
really
have this video, Stephanie, we would just have to go with what they said. But here's the
absolutely.
thing, when it comes to a breathalyzer, you guys realize that a suspect can refuse to take that
Yeah,
breathalyzer. They can.
they can't refuse.
There's a consequence to it, but you can refuse it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're angry, allegedly, that he didn't want to take the breathalyzer, it's his right, especially
It
if he's
is.
explained what's going to happen if you don't. And you know what happens if you don't? Your license is suspended for 90 days.
Yeah.
If he wanted to do that, he could do that. So where was this anger coming from? Is it because he asked that question? Well, your officer was speeding. Y'all ain't do nothing about that. Was there
Yeah,
anything
but
wrong with
even
that, Steph?
something like that, it should not constitute the behavior in which the officers conducted themselves like that. And that's another thing too. Like again, what they wrote up, we see is not truthful in regards to what we see in the video. And so they got to that point over such mal behavior. Even if he was mouthing off, it was nothing. In any situation, because I understand like LEOs are still human beings at the end of the day, even though they should have a certain higher degree of tolerance. But even that right there, like it was such low aggression behavior, and for them to respond like that is still alarming.
It is. It's
You
very
know,
long.
still very alarming.
So
And
remember what
yeah,
I said.
I think at this point, like even the officers that was in that video for Jerry, they should issue a formal, a public apology.
I
Yes, I
agree.
mean if they were suspended, okay, great, but at the very least, I mean, and it may not be sincere at this point, but at least it shows to the community that you're trying. Vote
Yeah, I
right,
kind of I
be
kind
and
of want
be,
to hear
issue
from
a
all of
formal
them.
apology.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think all of them should. I
yeah,
do.
acknowledge this is now how we should behave. You know, the officers did this and this and this, even though they should have been terminated. But at the very least, make them apologize.
So
Let's
what I
see.
discovered is that Mr.
Oh,
Nettles looks like he is suing Monroe County, and he
mm,
actually names the defendants in this. I found this on the internet. You guys can also look it up as well. Type in Nettles, Jerry Nettles Jr. versus Monroe County. This is what I found. And he lists Thomas Boatwright, Kendall Gardner, Stephen Lassiter, and then John Doe deputies. Okay. So as of June 23rd, looks like he filed a lawsuit. And y'all saw what I just read to you. He can. Because
mm,
based on our definition here of what excessive force is, I don't know. Y'all look like y'all fit the criteria. Now, how does that make you
absolutely.
guys feel to know that you have a sheriff that's listed in a lawsuit?
And
What is
honestly,
what
what you put it here too, he definitely. I'm glad that he is bringing everybody into the fold. Like that's a lawsuit. Oh, can you go back to it for just a second?
Sure.
Where he's naming the defendants, which is
Mm-hmm.
boat right. I guess the Gardner, Lassiter, and what is that? John
That's
Doe deputies
John
one
Doe.
through
That's probably the guy
10.
that was standing at that where that monitor was. That's probably that guy. That guy is no longer there, from what I understand. Gardner is there, no longer there, from what I understand. But Lassiter is there, was promoted, and received a K9 dog. So we rewarded him with promotion.
Okay, so on this right here, so do you think that John Doe? Oh no, it says deputies 1 through 10. So I think that right there for the defendant shows that not only was those two officers actually mishandled him and the one that was looking, whatever other rooms that he went through, obviously there were other officers that
Yes.
either saw this behavior or partake into this behavior that he's going after as well.
That is a very good point. I think that what happens is, guys, you have to know the ins and outs of the jail. They come through the Sally port, and then my guess is that they took him through the breathalyzer. So you're meeting different people, I'm assuming, along the way. So there has to be something, because he has John Doe deputies here, correctional officers, and supervisors listed
Hmm.
as defendants here in
So
this
yeah,
in
so
this
it
case.
shows that whatever maybe other
Yeah.
rooms that he went through in the county jail, he was still experiencing. So we have no idea what else he experienced
So
going
we have
through
a
other
comment here.
areas of the jail.
Absolutely. So we have a comment from the cousin who says, Ella, I'm thinking of why he couldn't stand up correctly,
Hmm.
because his back, sometimes he was in a serious bad car accident that he was thrown out from the vehicle and he barely survived. He has issues from that accident, allegedly. Wow.
Can that commenter do you know where the accident happened? And I asked that because if it happened in Monroe, like they should have a record of that accident. Now, I do know that he described that in his original post that he was injured from a previous accident. I didn't know it was that bad as Jennifer is saying there, but if it happened in Monroe, at the very least, even you know what, even if it didn't happen in Monroe, like they would still be able to look up from different police reports if he actually was involved in a serious accident. And so yeah, like,
Yeah.
and again, it shows like even the police officer that pulled him over was not willing to try to verify his story, because he said that he did explain that to the officer, and that's why he couldn't hold the different positions in regards to the breathalyzer.
Oh, see, now that
I mean, I'm
leads
sorry,
us
in
to
regards to the test, the intoxication test.
a whole different conversation then, Stephanie. So you're telling me that Jerry tried to do the responsible thing and say, look, they probably say, oh, he's just trying to make excuses.
Hmm.
But now when you find out that he really did have an issue, and let's just hope that you're banging him around didn't injure him further.
You know what? And that was also my concern too, because once I read what he was saying that he was previously injured, how they were banging him around, like I would have, like, even if he was completely healthy and had no other injuries in his body, like the way that they did it, where they dropped him and the way that he hit his head and his neck, like I said, it made me jump, because they could have paralyzed him doing that, and
That's
thank
right.
God it didn't, but they literally could have. And so even at the very least with that there, because he described this injury, they could have absolutely aggravated injury on him.
Yep.
It made it worse.
And for
uh,
that, I think you should pay. I do. I think you should pay. I think that when you're training, you're supposed to know how to handle people, even when they say they have an injury. You can't just assume. Think about T. Just think about T. T was allegedly saying to people, I can't breathe.
mm-hmm,
I need water.
mm-hmm,
And they ignored that. Threw
mm-hmm.
him in the back seat of a police car, face down, and now he's dead. Like, what is your training? Is it hard to believe that suspects, I mean, they have civil rights, and you guys can't just violate them because you have a badge. And I just, how many more of these have to happen? I mean, Monroe was just getting started.
Yeah, and that's the whole point, and that's why I support you. I support his mom because she's in the struggle. Even I know it hurts her to have
Yeah.
relived this, but the fact that she is pushing and advocating for justice in his cause, that also like just kind of fuels that passion to see it all come, you know, to fruition as far as what's going to happen, to be transparent and give us the real story. Because if they go unchecked, what will happen next?
I think
You know,
maybe if Monroe County lose some of these cases, Stephanie, you think that'll make a difference?
it may make a slight difference, but from my research so far, and not only this case, but different cases that has happened around the country, almost, I mean, all the way to, I mean, even the stand your ground laws and things like that. But I feel like there'll only be like real change when, like I said, those chiefs, those commissioners or councilmen are held accountable. And when you, like you said, when it comes to voting, if someone puts that on the ballot as far as holding the chiefs responsible on who they hire,
Yeah,
if
there we
he,
go.
if Bo Wright, if Mandy could potentially be held criminally responsible for the conduct, almost the way in which like now they have changed laws where, if kids take guns to school, especially if they're
Yeah,
underage,
yeah.
and now they start going to, after parents because you allow access, like you didn't lock it up, or you knew that your son had issues and you still chose to do this and X, Y, and Z. The same thing with the cops. If you feel like a cop, if you okay them to give them a gun, to let them go out free and shoot and kill at their discretion, yes, you should be held criminally responsible when they don't do their job correctly.
So
Es-
then you're,
Especially if it's on more than one occasion.
oh, most definitely.
Especially, and
So
I
you're
think that.
saying,
Mhm.
in this case, you're saying that, hey, Ella, if Boatwright or Mandy, depending on which jurisdiction we're talking about, if there was a clause somewhere in there that made them be held accountable criminally whenever stuff like this happens, or, I mean, because this is the thing, why do we have an issue with Boatwright? Because you did not manage. It's the same thing I
Yeah,
talk about Mayor Andrews. He does not manage. Management, you don't just put your buddies in there and let them get away with everything, because
absolutely.
this could have been a case where he could have died just like T. And
Mhm.
then it's too late. So
Mhm.
if this is why elections are important, this is why it's important to make sure you know the kind of people. Now, Boatwright has a very special situation here because he's out there telling people that he cares about the citizens and that he's transparent. I saw the post the other day where he's saying he's transparent with all of this. Okay, well, this don't look too transparent
No, it
to
isn't.
me.
And again, like, if he's listening, or if someone he knows, or if he comes back
Right.
and watches, the recap of this is an opportunity for him,
Absolutely.
to really, if you want to say that you do things right, you have transparency, and be completely transparent with the community. That right now it's an opportunity for him to do so, and we'll see if he takes advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah.
Honestly, I am leaning more towards like it won't happen. But again, I just kind of want to reiterate to them. I mean, even Mandy, like, this is an opportunity for you to do what's right, to
I think
acknowledge,
people,
because nobody's perfect. So acknowledge that you have
absolutely.
failures in certain
Absolutely.
places.
I
Yeah,
think they underestimate the power of the people. I do. I think you think that because you have won before, and some of them, we think that, well, they know me, they know I care about them. Yeah, but this young man don't believe that.
yeah.
He doesn't believe that. And his
And it's
family
like
that
they
watched
care about
him,
to what
yeah,
extent.
yeah,
And when you cross them, now how are they going to say? Do you really trust seeing something like this that when they're crossed, and at the same point, I mean, and that's what's so scary about it, because at what period would they consider them being crossed? Like, especially given the definitions that you put on the screen, that wasn't behavior that was exhibited by Jerry, and they still chose to rough him up.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it makes you kind of question even the people that you feel like is friendly within a certain community. You know, what's considered what's going to anger them.
yeah. It's from what Tate did and Mandy did, hired all their friends. This is a big opportunity for share. As a supportive Tom, I would like to see this case addressed. Okay, that's great. I appreciate that, Stephen, because I know that he does support vote right. And I mean, I've even said to Stephen, look, this is why I didn't want to from the beginning to be this person that says, well, you see what happened to T? The MPD, they're horrible, but the sheriffs are better, because I didn't know the dynamic here. And then
Yeah,
all of a sudden we hear this story. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So there's improvement for all of for everybody. Ourselves, everybody, all of us, we have improvement. But when the chips are up against you, what are you gonna do? This is
yeah,
where your character is tested.
yeah.
Okay.
And this right here has been brought back to light again. So the same way, even Boat Right and the supporters of him, or again, if you know him, he put out a statement for T. I mean, that statement is still questionable, but even this incident right here that has come back to light, has resurfaced, he can respond to that too.
Yeah.
And he can respond. I mean, even if you're running unopposed, still say, these are the laws, or these are the rules, I'm putting into place in regards, because it doesn't have to actually be voted into law per se.
Right.
Even when it comes to
Absolutely.
a sheriff's office or a police department, you still can have your regulations and rules within that department on what will happen if you do X, Y, and Z. So he has the opportunity even now to implement new things. And it should definitely go beyond, I'm just going to suspend someone, for a few days because they didn't have a body cam. That is not the response.
No, that is
Um,
not the response.
Let me ask you, when did Boatwright become the county sheriff?
That's a good question. I have no idea. Does
Yeah, I'm not
anyone
sure.
else know the answer to that? When did he become the sheriff? You know, one thing I didn't want to mention, Stephanie, because I don't have proof of it, but I want to mention it because I'm trying to make sense of this. I
Mm-hmm.
had an inbox message to me. I'm not going to say who told me this. Definitely never going to do that. But one of the things that was brought to my attention, allegedly, is that there was an exchange of money here to keep this quiet.
Mm.
Now, if that were true, let's just pretend, let's say that's true,
Oh,
because we don't
I said
know.
8 years ago.
For my disclaimer, we don't know if that's true or not, but let's just say that is true. Does that change how you feel now?
Um, no. Um, yeah. Ella, because I was reading restate the last part of your question too, because I want to make sure that I heard
I
you right.
said
So,
the fact, let's just say, pretend there was an exchange of money to keep this quiet.
mhm.
Does that change how you feel about everything?
No, it doesn't. The exchange of money only shows that, to me, that's an admission of guilt. That's a mission that they did something wrong, but it's a mission in a hush hush way.
Does that make it
That
worse for you?
it makes it worse.
Yeah.
Because especially given that this video here was shared and viewed so many times. Like, we go to the original post and see how many times it was viewed, how many times it was shared. It's any exchange of funds in that regard, just it's not an admission of guilt. It's a hush hush transaction, and they wanted to be swept under the rug without people noticing, like real, enough people noticing. And I think that probably only happened because that video had been shared and viewed so many times.
So if I
And
have a
now
leader,
it's going to be interesting to see what will happen since it has resurfaced. And again, like, all of this happened within the last year. It hasn't even been a full 12 months since this took place and since it was posted.
So
And mm,
let's just
mhm.
pretend we have those people that are watching this video and they're like, well, Ella, I can't even really see the video. I mean, I hear you guys saying that the guy was beat up. What do you think? And they're on the fence. Let's just say they're like, well, I don't know. I mean, I've seen how the guy is in the past, and this isn't like him. You know how we love to make excuses. This isn't like him. So I'm just going to go with it. What do you think they would need to see to be convinced that all of this is wrong, that this is just wrong the way this happened? What do you
I
think they
mean,
would need?
honestly, I think like what people are saying like right now, because that video, like I said, on my end compared to like me seeing it straight from his page, even on his page, it still looks like it was recorded from one on a cell phone from another video, but it is still clearer. One, I think they need to go and see it a little bit clearer so they can really understand and see how he was really mishandled, see the aggressiveness behind their behavior. And that's why next I said that when you first shared the video to kind of play it at normal speed, but even playing at normal speed on my end, and since we had some comments about that, it may still not have showed crystal clear, so it's going to still make people question. And so I will reiterate that to go and actually watch the video on his page so you can really, because if you can see that video very clearly, and it's clear enough on his page, there is no question. It, there's no excuse for the behavior of the officers. There there's no excuse. So at this point, it comes to the point of how should they be reprimanded?
So I see Stephen here because people, he says, I support still who I support. I have a voice nonetheless. Absolutely. This is, like I said, this is not about trying to get him elected or not getting him elected. People have a right to still support who they support. But here's the thing, we have to also have standards. And if we don't have
Absolutely.
standards because I like you, then we got to change some things, because I don't want my friend in there. And I said this last week. I have a friend and I am still friends with her today. But at the job, she was my assistant. I was the manager.
Hmm.
Now I'm
Hmm.
gonna give you the scenario. What happened? Every single day, my team knew that the rule was you have to put money in the bank. I don't want money sitting around in my office for somebody to try to break in here. It has to go to the bank. If you can't make it, let me know. So they decided, well, it's not gonna know. Just stick this money in the bank. I'll get it first thing in the morning. Well, Ella just so happened to come in earlier that day, and I saw the money there. Now, as a friend, this is why how people like to lead. That's why I say everybody can't be a leader. What do you think? What was I supposed to do at that moment, Stephanie?
I mean, if you had a friend that I don't. I mean, it's a little difficult, but and I know in our community, like we don't like snitches per se. But I
Yeah,
am very big if someone puts you into an awkward position in which your livelihood can be affected, you have to consider whether they're a true friend or not.
I wrote her up.
And what's going to take to still keep you and your livelihood protected, especially over something that you didn't do, you had no control over, and you don't condone.
But you know what? I wrote her up. I had to do that because I have people that are watching me that I've trained.
Exactly.
So how much respect do you think they're going to have for me if they say, "Well, wait a minute now, Miss Ella, you
Yeah. You
told
oh, you
us
let her
in
do X, Y,
integrity
and Z.
and you didn't do it because she's your friend"? No, if you're my friend
Exactly.
and you work for me, if you're my friend and you live on my property, you don't pay your rent, you're evicted. If you work for me and you don't do your job, you're written up. Simple as that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So in this case, that's why I respect what Stephen is saying, but at the same time, we can't follow people blindly. If we have standards, we got to hold them to it. If you're out there telling people that you're going to do this and going to do that, what better way than to prove it than talk
Yeah.
about it? This is why I don't
I mean,
like
I
politics.
mean, and like I don't know, um, but right personally, I don't know Mandy personally, and so and I'm sure they probably have. I might want to say good hearts. I don't know. We always want to kind of be optimistic and expect the best out of people. So that's why I said like when it comes to certain things, even if they are quote unquote like good people, when things arise, it still needs to be addressed. So even if you still support someone, realize, hey, I support you, but in this regard right here, you need to say something. You need to address it, unopposed or not. Like it needs to be addressed. And if you really want to capture the hearts and the minds of all of the community in which you're supposed to protect and serve, that's what you have to do. And we know, especially like the way you were just saying, in a management executive experience, we're not going to always make the correct perfect decision.
That's
I've
right.
had to go back
Absolutely.
and talk to employees,
Yeah.
and it's like, you know what, I should have handled that better, or I could have done
Yeah.
it like this, and I should
Yeah.
have given you more, explicit instructions when it comes to how you handle certain things. But yeah, I mean, acknowledge the wrong, acknowledge it, and also do what put out a plan on how you're going to do better and execute it, and show the community like what you're doing to actually execute that plan, and that you're sincere and genuine about changing things. Because right
And I
now,
think,
um, I'm not surprised at the Senate video and knowing that occurred in, I think, October 2025. I am not surprised that what happened to T, happened. That was like October, November, December, January, February, March. Well, less than 6 months later. And so you don't want to be known as a leader who has had these types of things happen under your watch.
and rightfully so, Stephen here says that even though there's an issue with this case, it is wrong. Even though there is an issue with this case, I don't know what that means. I believe this incident should be addressed. It was wrong. I hope Boatwright does address it as it should.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's the only thing he can do at this point.
And he should be encouraged to. Like if they have an insider, if you know him personally, if you know people, because sometimes like my mom likes to say we're only 5 degrees away, away
Yeah.
from the right people and things like that. So if you know a friend who knows a friend, share it. And hopefully he'll be in the mind and the heart to receive that
Yeah.
and correct and such,
Because I don't want anybody to think that we're just on here trying to bash.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. I don't know him. And it's more than just the county deputy. I mean, was he initially, like, even for Jerry, was he initially arrested by a Monroe Police Department?
you know what? I do have Jerry's post. I'm going to read that because I think that's
Okay.
important for us to know exactly what his post was. Because I was going to
Okay.
do that earlier because I want people to know exactly what he was feeling. He said
Okay.
that on August 29th, 2025, he was pulled over by Deputy Gardner for speeding. These were his exact words. Dude automatically came to the car with an attitude. When I found my insurance, I brung it up and he said I looked drunk. So he told me to do the test. I never argued. I just told him I was recovering from a car wreck. My MCL is torn, but I'll do the test anyway, is what he's saying. I'll try. He didn't like the way I did it and went to talking crazy. I was getting agitated, so I told him just go on and take me to jail. On the way to the jail, I never said nothing to the man. I had saw that he was doing 65 and a 35 speeding limit like
Mm.
I was.
Hmm.
So when I got to the jail, I told the other guy in the video what we gonna do about his partner speeding. They told me to shut the F up, then slam me into the door outside before we walked in and then set me off. Cause why you doing all that? Because I'm telling you what you just did. We got into the booking room. I'm just telling the officer how wrong he was for putting his hands on me, and y'all can see the results I got. Them officers assaulted me, then lied on me saying I tried to pull a computer on an officer's head when I was in handcuffs the whole time. Lawyers don't want to touch the case in Monroe, trying to sweep it under the rug. You can see the paperwork in the comments. I did nothing that they put on there. And I want justice. They picked me off the ground, slammed me for no reason, then tried to charge me with assault.
Mm.
So when I hear that, I don't care about your elections. I don't care. I really don't care about your elections because you know what? You have a system that you guys have to overcome. And the
Yeah.
only way to do that, you're going to have to hold people, even the ones you like, to the fire. You got to hold them accountable, or you
Yeah.
will never get rid of this problem. And the only reason we're talking about this is because this young man was crafty enough to get somebody on the inside to give him the video.
Hmm.
Good for you. And
Yeah.
good for the person that brought it.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
you guys working in the jail want to see the video? Go look at your own cameras where you can get a good
Hmm.
view of it. My guess, they saw it, Stephanie. Oh no, we got to make this go away. Oh no, 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 no. We can't have this. We cannot let this get in the public. See what I'm saying?
And thankfully, he was vocal enough to stand his ground on this. So again, I can imagine what other people have been through, especially again giving. Let's keep in mind that those two people was within their first 2 years of being hired.
ACL torn, test is automatically inadmissible. Oh wow. Officer is supposed to ask if you have any injuries or conditions that will prevent you from completing the field sobriety test successfully. Well, look at that. Is that true?
That's true,
Wow.
and I think he said he explained that to the officer though. But at this point, because of their blatant excessive force, like regardless, I feel like regardless of what he may have said, they were going to overlook it and think that he was lying.
Okay,
Mhm.
so Sheriff Boatwright is not here to defend himself. I wish he were, but it
Yeah,
looks
I
like
understand
Stephen
it.
is, right? So I want to make sure that we read Stephen's comment here. I've always spoken well with the sheriff. That's why I am voicing my opinion. So I would think he would be receptive to this. I may be wrong. Well, you are wrong because he knew about this before we did. So you're wrong about that, my friend. Because if he was receptive to it, he wouldn't have tried to make it go away, allegedly. But I always had good talks with him. So in my personal experience, he has always been there to talk. Why I like him. That and what Monroe County was under the Tom Tate regime was nuts. Monroe County's come a long way for better. With Tate, this was an every single day thing. So here's the thing, guys. Yeah, Tate may have been a bad beast. He's not there anymore. Sheriff Boatwright is, and it's still happening. So if Sheriff Tom Tate was a beast, I'm not even going to finish the last part of the sentence. Just saying, we can't put him on a pedestal just yet. Let's see how he handles this the second time. Because the first time when this was brought to him, we saw how he responded. Am I wrong, Stephanie? Did you
Yeah.
hear about this from him or did you hear about this from Jerry?
No, yeah. I mean, it wasn't from Jerry directly. It was brought to my attention, after I did the initial show with you regarding tea, and I had a few people, reach out and share this right here. Because even in that, my stance was like, I would like to know the environment. What is that atmosphere like? And the jail, the county sheriff's department, as well as the Monroe Police Department, like, you know, and even on this regard here, we're not accusing Boatwright of anything to a certain extent, and I'm sure you would very much welcome him on the show to speak
Absolutely.
about
I would
something
love
else.
for him.
Which
I
is
would
why
love
I
for
also
someone
say,
in
like,
uniform.
it would
Yeah.
be in his best interest, since this has resurfaced, to make a comment about it. Like, you didn't say anything, and he made a comment about tea. Even though we can
But
kind
that
of
was
poke
when he
holes in
thought that
some
it
of
was
that,
all going to be on MPD.
but he could have
He wanted
also
to look
made
like
a
the
comment
savior.
about this right here.
He wanted to look like the savior in that part because he was
Hmm.
saying, look, guys, I would have never treated T like that. It's because of me that he even got the assistance. Those were the words somewhat in so many ways. He didn't receive T into the jail, and he shouldn't have. He shouldn't have. That was a good move. I think he needed assistance, and they were there to do that. Okay, that's one thing. We can't rest on our laurels. Right now,
Yeah.
we got another situation. This time it happened in your jail. So now we can't
Hmm.
say, well, Ella, it was in the Sally Port. It had nothing to do with me. He never crossed the threshold. But he crossed the threshold this time. Now what? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And I would even like to see, like, even if he did suspend those officers, like, did you do anything else in your training process, even when it's like maybe it comes to continuing education credits for police officers to address this type of behavior? Did you bring in somebody to actually teach like what's acceptable and what's not? Did he himself say, hey, look, this happened right here, I'm not tolerating that? I mean, at least give the community some type of answers.
They're already
So,
pissed because of what happened to T. Now you turn around and did the same thing.
well,
Well,
yeah,
you
well, this
actually
right
did
here
yours
happened.
first.
This incident happened before T's, though.
Exactly. I was just gonna say that you
Yeah,
did it first.
yeah,
So
and
I
and this right here, like I said, I also just kind of like say that I don't think this is the first incident of this behavior that's happened in that jailhouse.
oh
Not from
no,
a 1 to 2 year officers. Like they felt very comfortable
I
doing
can't
this.
tell you, Stephanie, how many emails and messages I'm getting on both sides. What's
Yeah.
happening in the jail? What's happening in the sheriff?
I will say I did
Yeah,
see a comment here that said that he became sheriff like 8 years ago.
8 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah, so
8 years.
that's plenty enough time for you to change the environment. So speaking from an executive standpoint, that's plenty enough time for him. Like, I mean, 8 years, you shouldn't have had something like that happen in your jail. Period.
So, what kind of reforms do you think they need to implement in Monroe County? Period. Just the whole culture of policing.
Hmm. I mean, I think they definitely need to be retrained on how to handle prisoners.
Yeah,
I'm going to also say they need to be trained from a mental or psychological standpoint on how not to respond. Like even if a prisoner or someone you've arrested has made you angry, on how to control that anger so that you don't turn around and do what they did in this video. You
that's
know,
right.
and definitely go back to. I feel like some type of law, rule, regulation should be implemented in which the head of these departments, if it comes to the sheriff and also city council, that can be held not even civilly or criminally responsible for the behaviors of their officers. I think that will put some fire on their feet to ensure that change happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steven says, now I get it. That makes a lot of sense now. But either way, what has happened here is wrong. Jerry deserves
Mhm.
justice. We need an AI, internal affairs jurisdiction here. Oh, I
Mhm.
said that from the onset with T.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Monroe definitely needs federal oversight. That is for sure. If there's ever a place that doesn't know how to manage, it is Monroe County. And they need some retraining from the top all the way down
Yeah,
when it
and
comes to
it's
right
okay
things.
to admit that, even if Merle is a small town, so it's okay to admit, I don't, I'm not perfect. I haven't controlled or educated these officers properly. I haven't set up a system that will really hold them accountable. That's
Yeah.
okay. Admit that, and then be transparent on what you're going to do, so that you endear the community to you.
Yeah.
So you don't have anybody, because I feel like if he allows this to stand with no action, when it comes to the point, obviously not this election, but the next one, and somebody runs against him, it is a chance that you may not be voted into that position.
I mean,
So we have to just kind of see what
people may
happens.
decide to overlook this, and that is their choice to give him another opportunity. Um, because this is what I was also told. Hey, Ella, he's the lesser of two evils. You know how people used to say that about Trump and Hillary and all that. I don't want to get into all of that. But if you guys still want to vote him in, then you need to definitely hold him to a standard. Now, this comment says, I don't personally think it's a training issue. Their training works fine when it comes to white inmates compared to black inmates. How true is that statement?
Who? Um, I I can't really speak to that. I don't know. For a fact, I don't have any evidence in regards to how they treat those type of inmates. And with all of this, I try to keep it away from it being a racial thing,
Yeah,
because I feel like when
absolutely.
people think it's a racial thing, they readily dismiss, what's going on. So, and I will say this, with some of your previous shows and looking at some of the comments, even I want to say white people have commented, and I've had actually like three different, people from the Caucasian race reach out in regards to the behavior in which they've treated. So
Absolutely.
I think much like all of society, if the white people are from a low statue in society, in a certain, um, economic status, they probably will get the same behavior,
Yeah.
will get the same response.
Yeah, like Steven says, it happens to all of us. He can speak from firsthand experience because it happened to him. And I
Yeah, like
understand that his
I've heard, yeah, his story
yeah,
too, so he can speak
yeah.
to that. Where it didn't
Historically,
matter.
historically it may seem that way, but I think things are changing. I think that if they're just not good cops, they're just not good cops to everybody. And everybody's getting it because we definitely don't want to lean toward trying to split it down the middle between black and white. I want to split it down in the middle between right and wrong. How about that?
Exactly,
Yeah, that's how we'll
exactly.
do that.
Yeah,
But do you think that the citizens in Monroeville are starting to not trust because these incidents? Do you think they're eroding the trust in Monroeville every time we bring issues to this show?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that. Um, and I know, like, I follow the sheriff's page and the MPD, pages on Facebook, and I know they do good in the community, but that good is still not going to outshine the tragedies that has happened,
I mean,
and so because you when it comes to something painful, people remember that, and I just unfortunately that's just a life thing. Like we remember painful situations more than like the happy times. And
yeah.
so I will say, even to Stephen here with his comments, like, what do you feel would be, since you support Vote Right, what do you feel could happen, or what could he do to change in which the way in which he's viewed?
Do
So
you
I'll say
mean
if he
both?
responds to
Or are
that.
you
Yeah,
talking to Steven? You're putting
yeah,
him a question. Say it
yeah.
again, because I want to make sure he hears you.
Yeah, what does he feel could happen in regards to like how Boatwright can respond to this? Um, yeah, and show that he's actually trying, and he's not just condoning this type of behavior.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I mean, you and I talked about it, and I said, is it normal that police forces will hide information like this? Like when I heard that, I was thinking, oh my God, that's the worst thing. And you said, no, Ella, they actually do that sometimes. They
oh
don't want
yeah,
it out in the public,
hmm,
so
hmm,
they'll maybe even allegedly pay some money to make it
yeah,
go away.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I've seen that countless, a number of times. Like I know for a fact that will happen. They'll pay people off to be quiet, to not bring it up, and that's why I want to emphasize again, like this post with Jerry just came to attention. Like, I wish, and I have not been able to contact him. I don't think you either, for him
no,
to come on and discuss this right here. But I feel like because he has put enough details in that, it's and also the video in itself is kind of like self-explanatory. You don't see him using aggressive force. You don't see him lunging at officers. You see what happened.
and that's
Like
why
that,
we're talking
it
about
was
it on the show.
completely uncalled for.
Yeah, that's
Completely
why
uncalled.
I have to bring this stuff to the show
Yeah,
because
and so that shows
yeah,
like the environment, in which the officers conduct themselves, and what they feel is acceptable. Unfortunately,
Denise says, let's be honest, Ella, born
that's
and
true.
raised in Monroe County, always been a racist town. I mean, she's not wrong.
I mean, it's not wrong, and
Not
unfortunately,
wrong.
that is true. You would think by 2026 it would have kind of changed, but because Monroe County is still a small town, it still happens.
Yeah,
But at this point in time, I think that society. and what's held to be deemed to be acceptable and how you treat people, enough education is out there that they know that it's wrong and they do it anyway. You know, my husband and I have had a conversation in regards to people who have a certain mindset, and it can kind of, if you're trained in a certain way and raised to believe certain things, but at this point, like if you choose to be a police officer, you have to be strong enough mentally to be able to pull any type of undue aggression in and do your job. And that's not happening.
Well,
That's not
Stephen
happening.
answered. He answered your question here. I believe if he created a forum for complaints and covered them publicly, he's very public and is interactive in the community by way of media. He has a platform with media presence, just an opinion. He has the capability to make complaints public and address them.
That's true.
Yeah, but
And,
there's no, how can you
and
measure that if he hides the ones he don't want you to know about?
yeah,
I.e.,
he
this.
does have that. Yeah, he has that ability. But that kind of speaks back to what I was saying earlier. Like, if you make these complaints public and you see there's multiple complaints against certain officers, then what? And you choose to still employ them, then what? Like, how is he going to handle that after that? You know? And so, if anybody, again, if anyone knows any of these three officers, if they were present or had anything to do with T, now we have a correlation between officers that we know are unnecessarily aggressive, you
Yeah,
know, towards people they're pursuing.
good point. Just tossing it out there. This is the place to talk about it. Yeah,
Oh,
we
absolutely. And I,
appreciate it.
yeah, and I
Yeah,
appreciate you hearing that. Like, and I
absolutely.
agree with you. Like I said, I agree. If he was to get, that is a major step forward. A major step forward, because I do believe too, it may be even some unofficial complaints out there that people say, oh, I didn't file, like, you know, a formal complaint because I knew something wasn't going to happen, you know, and I knew that, you know, if I did file a complaint, they may try to harass me more and
Yeah,
things
but
like
I'm glad you said that because he hasn't built up enough trust to get the tough ones. Because I can assure you that some of the ones I'm getting, he's not getting them. Okay.
that.
So my thing is, are you going to turn off the ones that are just like, oof, and just get the ones that are easy to attain? Like, there's no checks and balance. How do we know you're addressing all of them? How do
That's
you know
true.
that people feel comfortable enough to tell you? You got to make them safe. You got to have a safe place, to let people feel like it's okay to come here. And that
Yeah,
goes for both the city police. I think you guys have your work cut out for building public trust again.
yeah,
You can't
absolutely.
even control your public safety, let
Yeah,
alone public trust. So you got a lot of work to do in Monroe. Everybody, the sheriff, the police department, the mayor, city council, all of them. This is
but
looking
it is
kind of
important
rugged.
to like recognize that it can be done though.
Absolutely.
It's not something, oh, I don't know what to do or nothing's going to change behavior. No, it can be changed. Like,
But you got to deal with
it
people
can
that
be
want
done.
change. You got to
Yeah,
have people
yeah,
that want change.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah. Totally
exactly.
agree. Listen, I'm telling you, what a great conversation. Now let's give updates about tea, guys.
Hmm.
There are no updates. That it is what it is. There is nothing that has come yet. There still is not a body cam. No one has seen it. There's no autopsy report. We are over 90 days now. Over 90 days. And from what I understand, this typically takes 90 days before we finally get something. But there's nothing. Why do you think it's taking so long, Stephanie?
I think that I, I think in this case, I do believe that like the main aspect of their investigation is finished, and I think that it's taken so long because it was, if it was, the finding was support what the officer said, it would have been released. But I don't think that their findings did support that, and so they're hoping that it's forgot about and it's swept under the rug. And when it is finally released, I doubt if they really make it public like that. Like, you know, they will probably say something, but they're hoping that it's one of those posts or one of those things that's kind of skipped over To me, that's the only reason. Because it's right here, it doesn't require like that much major investigation. It happened in a series of hours. You can go in and you can see what happened. You can check his body to see what marks was on his body, if he was tased. And again, taser marks are very distinct. You know if he was tased.
That's
But the fact that Mandy put out that he was taken into custody without incident, which
right.
that's not an accurate description.
Mm.
So anyway, that description from the MPD and the description in regards to like even the jury, we know that they will definitely exaggerate the truth. Yeah, and I mean, it's
Lie is
a
what it's
lie.
called.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Let's just call
yeah,
it what it is. They will
yeah.
lie.
Just let's call a spade a
They
spade.
will
They
lie.
lie. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
And
who's
they do
ever
basically on.
investigating it, yeah, I
Yeah.
think that they right now the investigation is going to lead to the fact that there was some criminal wrongdoing by the LEOs. Period. I mean, at the very least, though, I would think that they would be giving Sharon an update,
And she
any
doesn't
type
have
of
any.
update.
She
Even if
doesn't
they
have
want to
anything
try
either.
to prolong the findings, like they're still, and they're not even doing that much. They're reaching out to her and say, we know you're still concerned. We're still working on it. Which is, oh my gosh.
Uh-oh. She's out by the water, guys. This lady is so committed. She's on vacation and she's here with the Ella Johnson show. So what you heard in the background, that's the ocean. So she is having a great time there, but we're getting ready to wrap it up anyway. But yeah, I see you, Sharon. Sharon says, I'm not going anywhere. That's right. She is here for the long haul. And so are we here at the Ella Johnson show. Well, we're going to go ahead and get ready to get out of here, guys. I want to make sure that you all tune in on Thursday night. We will be here with Dr. Barbara Turner Pugh. And yeah, that's going to be an interesting conversation. Okay, she's
I'm
back.
sorry, my laptop here went dead on me.
That's okay. That's okay. Looks like you're in the dark now.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to
Yeah.
get out of here anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting ready to get out of here anyway because I want you to go back to enjoying your family and having a good time. And I was just saying that you guys tune in on Thursday night. We're going to be here with Dr. Pugh. She has some text messages to bring to the scene here. And listen, it's going to be a pretty explosive show because we're going to be talking about her situation at the Monroe County Board of Education, and she has some information to share that just might question the credibility of that entity there. So it's going to be good. And let me see these comments before we get out of here. Most police departments don't do a good job with investigating themselves. And good show. Keep up the good work. Absolutely, Stephen. You as well, my friend. We're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson show. I like that we can come here and have real conversations because it's never easy to come here and do this, guys, and talk about this incident, but we have to do it because my commitment is to my viewers. Okay. My
Absolutely.
viewers want truth. You want truth. And right now I'm doing a series, Monroe County Uncovered. So you know what that means? The operative word is in the title, covered, right? So our job is to make sure that that is uncovered. And we are now talking about the issues that matter to you. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm getting them. We got a long way to go because I got a long list. So we got some more stuff that we're going to talk about, bring out. Do you have a story that you would like to share with me? Please, you know where to find me. I live on Facebook, literally. So if you guys want to talk to me about something that you think is important, let me know. We'll start investigating and we'll bring your story here as well. But we're going to keep bringing these types of stories. But on Thursday night, we'll be back with Barbara Turner Pugh to talk about her issue with the Monroe County Board of Education. Anything you'd like to say, Stephanie, before we go?
What I would like to say actually is, anyone who has connections to whether it's the Pope Right, whether it's Mandy, whether it's Aaliyah, reiterate to them that we're not going to forget. This will not be swept under the rug. it will be continued to pursue. And I applaud you, Ella, for following this case. You know, and like you said, it's been what, 3 months at this point.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's not going away. So tell them to prepare and get ready. You know, release a statement and let's face it head on.
Let's
And
face it.
tonight we discussed on ways in which even if something foul happened, where we already pretty much know it did, but we've already given suggestions even in the conversation tonight on how to start to address the community and try to pull back and gain that trust again. So face it head on and realize that it's not going to be forgotten.
That's right. That's right. Because we owe the people. I mean, Jerry didn't deserve that. T didn't deserve that. And Charlotte didn't deserve what happened to her either. Those are the 3 stories, nor Dr. Barbaretta Turner Pugh, right? So these are the 4 stories that are live right now on the Ella Johnson show that I'm talking about. And it's because I believe in it and I want them to have a platform to share their story, but you can have that as well. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I want you guys to reach out to me because that's what we do here. It's a labor of love. We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. And
thank you for having me tonight.
Of course, always, Stephanie. Yeah. I thought you were the best person to have this conversation with because you were the one that brought this to my attention in the first place. Right?
Yeah.
So I appreciate you for that as well as
and the way it was brought to my attention, again, it was brought to my attention after the first show, and I think somebody understood that I was given leniency on the conduct that was happening, but they brought this to my attention to show, hey, this is really an inside. It is bigger, Absolutely. That mentality is bigger than what I was trying to kind of give people credit for, unfortunately. Right. So I'm still here. So any other things, and mainly if you guys know any complaints, even with the officers with Jerry or even with the officers that handled T, if you know any complaints, whether it's official or unofficial, contact Ella, contact me, and so that we can start making a record of these things, and we know what we can fight with, because knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. Using that knowledge is power.
Absolutely. You're so correct, Ella. So correct.
All right, guys. Have a great evening, and I'll see you Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
All right. Have a good night.
Central. Have a great evening. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now. And we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on the Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.
We love Ella Johnson Show.